Hey guys, it's Rob. 592 days till I turn 30, and I just realized that my beard kind of looks like the Rebel Alliance symbol from Star Wars. Just saying. Um, Angle change. You may have realized that the camera is pointing a different direction, that you are seeing more of the back of my apartment. This is where my camera is typically mounted when I live stream gameplay, when I'm playing computer games and letting people watch me do that on the internet. That link is always going to be down in the description if you ever feel like you're interested in watching any of that. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I'm periodically scheduling events. If you follow my Twitter feed, you'll get announcements when those events go live. I usually play for like 3-4 hours at a time. So if you get that tweet or that message or anything, there's certainly plenty of time to join in, even if you're an hour or two late. That said, let's get the check-in done. I dropped 0.6 of a pound still, so we're still trending downward on that, 244 even, and still not quite cranking out 4,000 words per update, but I'm trending upward. That's about 800 more words than I did for last update, and in a shorter period of time, so that feels good. I feel like I've kind of broken some of the momentum problem I was having getting past that scene that I talked about that was troublesome. So it's good to be over that hurdle and good to be kind of in the final stretch, getting close to where I want to be. It might end up over 60,000 words at this point. I'm kind of thinking about how much story I have left based on what I'm intending to tell. So I'll see what happens, but the goal is still to get that taken care of prior to leaving for the wedding of my friend Josh and his lovely fiancée Kaylin on November 1st. Good friend Raptor and Axa said she didn't know much about my hobbies, and I think there are some things within my hobbies that are pertinent to my writing and what I'm doing here. So I decided that might be a good topic to share in an episode. The very core of what I like to do for fun is games, and that's very broad and encompassing. It kind of all started when I was 5 years old, and I dropped by a neighbor's house, and she had the old gray box Nintendo Entertainment System, and from the moment I played that thing, I was hooked. I had to have one myself. I've had numerous video game systems over the years. I've always loved video games since that point, and then I've moved on to PC gaming and that kind of other stuff, and that's been very core to who I am and what I do in my free time, and my mental development, which I'll get to in a minute here. My love of games has kind of led me to look into game design kind of off to the side. The tabletop RPGs that I've talked about in a previous episode, Dungeons and Dragons, so on, things like that, have an atmosphere that encourages creation of your own game assets. And from there, it wasn't that much of a leap to start reading into game design of all types, of video games, of board games, and so on and so forth. I haven't actually invented or created any games of my own yet, but it's something I think I'd like to do someday. I think about it and like it so much to the extent that I've actually read an entire textbook on game design. And if you're looking for something in that area, I recommend The Art of Game Design by Jesse Schell. It's a great read. It's like 600-something pages, I think. I've read it cover to cover. It's that good. It's full of anecdotes. It doesn't feel like a textbook. The guy was an Imagineer for Disney, so he designed interactive entertainment experiences for Disney to make, like interactive rides and such when he was working with Disney. He now does game design on his own. But I mean, make no mistake, it is a textbook, but it certainly has a lot of anecdotes that keep things fresh and moving. It's very good like that. Later, after the foundational kind of game stuff set in as part of my hobbies, I learned at some point that a lot of the games that I loved came from Japan, and so by association, I kind of fell in love with Japan, with Japanese animation and Japanese pop culture, the kind of stuff that gets over here as entertainment. And I love that stuff to the point that I actually traveled to Japan when I was in college and stayed over there for a summer, and it was very fascinating. I still keep up with certain things in Japanese culture and entertainment. I'm really a fan of like the Japanese Power Rangers series. They are much more there's much more flourish, and it's much more, what do I want to say? Uh, it is, I guess it's just unapologetically ridiculous in a way that appeals to me more than our Power Rangers do. Alongside that, I've always liked discovering strange things that are not usual in my normal surroundings. I'm the kind of person who will go scrounging around the internet and just like for a day or so fall into this bizarre pattern of like looking up Mongolian pop music, which I actually did for like 3 or 4 hours just to see what it was like and see what I thought of it. Um, I I like finding strange things and bringing them to other people to show them and say, look, not everything that's top 40 music or AAA video game or so on and so forth is what you need to pay attention to. There's all sorts of really creative stuff that doesn't get the same kind of marketing budget, but at the same time is very much worthwhile. Um, and then I guess finally, in the broader sense, really I occupy my mind a lot just looking at things that are put out as complete and taking them apart and picking apart the pieces. I love to see what the inner workings of a system are. I love to see all the moving parts kind of go together, not in the sense of like a physical machine necessarily, but in the sense of inputs and outputs and uh, intangible things like that. It leads to a lot of tinkering with board games and seeing what adjusting rules might do, particularly pen and paper RPGs, where you're a lot of times building your own content, stuff like that. So I would say I have a tinkerer's mind, and then that part even extends to like storytelling. Um, Telling stories through tabletop role-playing games has given me a different perspective, I think, on them. Um, I can see them as pieces rather than a whole, and kind of see, well, if we change this little thing, how much do we alter the outcome? What are the different possibilities? And maybe a lot of writers do that, but I feel like it's an odd thing as far as hobby-wise for just for most people. I mean, obviously, I'm headed in the writing direction for now, and I'm hoping that it serves me well, that particular inclination serves me well. Um, because when I get to the editing process, I'm closing in on the finish of the rough draft. There is going to be kind of an analyzing stage where I'm looking over my story and seeing what I've constructed, and then the idea of moving around, taking parts out of it, putting other parts in, changing the emotional tenor, really looking at the story as a system intended to deliver drama, and seeing which parts are the most efficient at that, and which parts can be stripped out and put aside. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that sort of mechanical way of looking at storytelling. There are things that work and things that don't work in storytelling, and anytime you have that kind of situation, you can benefit from optimizing, where you can benefit from taking out bad things and putting in good things. I don't think it makes a story cold and calculating to do that. To read a story to begin with is to opt in for some level of emotional manipulation from the author and from his or her work. Um, so that was a lot of theory and stuff that I dropped on you, but I hope it gave you something to think about. Thank you, Lisa, for asking the question. If you enjoyed this episode and you enjoy my stuff here, like and share. Absolutely comment, ask more questions down in the comments. I love it. And that's all from me now. A week from today, I will be leaving for that wedding. So you'll probably get an update on Thursday morning rather than Thursday evening, just because I'll be catching a flight out to the East Coast to take part in that. And I really hope to have my rough draft done by that time, because if I don't, I will pull my hair out. I know there's not much to pull, but I'll get to work on that. Now I'm done. I'll see you guys Monday.